everyone. Welcome back. I'm Rico,
I'm Tony.
and this is Relatively Sound, the channel that is chewing on sugar cane. Today, Tony and I are back with our album for album series where we give each other albums the other person has never heard before. And it is my turn this week. And I just got done reading the awesome autobiography from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers guitarist Mike Campbell. And I thought it was a terrific read, learn more about how the band got started. And it really kind of just made me go back to listen to some of the Heartbreakers songs and music. And I just kind of had a newfound appreciation for Mike's guitar playing. So I thought, well, Tony, you haven't gotten a Tom Petty record in a while. And if there's one album that I think really showcases Mike's guitar playing, it is going to be their album, Mojo. Now, this was their second to last release before Tom passed away. And it came after a hiatus after their album, The Last DJ. But it was the return of their bassist, Ron Blair. Pretty much actually the all original lineup, except with a different drummer. And I just thought you would appreciate this album because it just has some incredible guitar playing from Mike. Like, I think, yeah, this album isn't their most classic album. You're not going to have a lot of like non-hardcore fans say like, oh yeah, this has some of my favorite songwriting from Tom Petty. But I do think the highlight of this album is Mike and his guitar. And again, we have to apologize to our friend Chris. One, because Chris did not approve of me giving Tony this album. And Chris was a little hurt that he's not on this episode. Just a little timing scheduling that we couldn't do, but we promise Chris he will be on the next Tom Petty episode. But Tony, how do you feel going into this Tom Petty album?
Well, so I was going in with a kind of an open mind, because I like, wow, I can't even think about that one album it's called.
Hard Promises?
Yeah, it's Hard Promises. Thank you. I like that one. Wildflowers, definitely. I really appreciate now. Little bit of a grower, but there was a lot of cool stuff there that I think I did like off the bat. And then of course just all like the big Petty singles that I've heard growing up and stuff. And yeah, learning some of Mike's solos and stuff. I'm like, wow, this guy's awesome. I would say, he's definitely like an underrated player. And not because he's like super flashy or anything, and maybe not even the most innovative, but what he's really great at is like his phrasing. I think his tone's always awesome, like very just like a guitar player type of guy from, old school. And I will say it, before hearing this record, I did know, I Should Have Known It, and that song does kick ass. Big fan of that one. So that was definitely like, okay, I hope this record, at least half of it, could be, kind of cool like that, something similar or whatnot. But then we flash forward to me having heard the record now. So Rico and I, we listened to it together here. That's how we did it. And it was a long process. And what I mean by that is, I hear a rock song to start the record. I hear another one. I hear another one. I hear another one. This is like a whole record of like 15 songs, and I think about 10 of them sound the same. Just right off the bat, that is my biggest complaint about this record. But my favorite thing about the record is the guitar playing. But that cannot save it entirely for me, because most of these songs sound the same, so a lot of the playing kind of, just by equation kind of ends up sounding similar. But just because I want to gloss all over his playing right now. The production sounds fantastic on this record. You had mentioned it's supposed to be like all recorded live with no overdubs, and though they did a killer job of that for these guys being in their 60s, which you had pointed out several times. Like, great sound. I mean, great energy for that. There's a lot of wah guitar on this record. There was I think an octaver on one of them, some pedal steel. A lot of guitar harmonies were thrown in there, which I was not expecting, because I don't know if I've really heard Mike do that before. So that was cool to get that on a few of the songs, and definitely, definitely was a highlight for me. Um, we can dive in maybe a little song by song here in a second, but I will say, one thing that I also didn't really like, I feel like the lyrics were kind of lacking. Now, to me, Petty isn't like he isn't God tier for like lyric writing for my style, my taste. He isn't S tier. He's not. But I think he does write good stuff, and I can appreciate it. But I think on this record, oh my God, uh, highly lacking. And I will say, I don't think every song was supposed to have profound lyrics. I'm not trying to imply that or put that expectation. A song like Candy does not need good lyrics, and good lyrics actually might make that song worse. Even who knows? Um, but I think even on like some of the more kind of serious songs, I feel like maybe there's a couple lines that I liked. Um, I think probably Pirates Cove probably had my favorite lyrics because of those like storytelling. But um,
I agree with you. I don't think this might actually be one of the weaker albums when you look at his lyrics. That said, I do feel like this album was a lot of like the band jamming at their studio and kind of maybe coming up with these songs kind of on the spot. Maybe that's how
right,
the lyrics were kind of written. I kind of think with this album, the songs that have you either have songs that have like great lyrics and then songs that have just kind of forgettable lyrics. Like,
you would go that far? Say great?
yeah, I think First Flash of Freedom has some fantastic lyrics. Like you said,
Yeah,
Trips to Pirates Cove, I think has great lyrics. Good enough. I kind of like that one's a little bit more of a vague storytelling, but I enjoy it. Um, and then there's some that I'm just like, I don't really care about. I don't really care about Lover's Touch. I don't, Candy's funny, but it's not like
for 5
amazing
seconds.
lyrics. Yeah. Let Yourself Go, Taking My Time. Like, yeah. And then there's also some corny lyrics like on the two ballads, No Reason to Cry, Something Good Coming. Um, but also too, like, they're this far into the career, so I give them a little slack. And I do think on their next and final album, Hypnotic Eye, which you will eventually get one day, I do think the lyrics they get better. So, and even on the second Mudcrutch album, which came out after Mojo, I think that one has a lot better lyrics too. So I do think this is like kind of a dip in lyrics, but again, I kind of think some of that was to let the other band members really shine because I do think Petty's maybe the least impressive part on this album, which is a little shocking to say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like with the band with that many albums and that much of a legacy, like, my goal here right now is not to pick them apart and be like, yo, these guys suck, because that's not true. And like you said, you want to give them some slack. These guys are trying to have fun, be in the studio, play music, and the fact that they're playing music still at that age, it was kick ass. So it's a win. It's an automatic win in that regard.
So what
But
are
that doesn't curb, like you say, oh, there's lyrics, you cut them some slack on lyrics. But for someone like you that loves lyrics so much and values that in a song, why do you like this album when 10 of the songs aren't really doing it lyrically? Uh,
because I know because there's so many other Tom Petty albums and songs that I can go to for amazing songwriting and lyrics.
but that shouldn't affect this album, your enjoyment of this album,
Well, this album is not like I will say I gave you this album because I thought you would like the guitar playing enough to kind of overlook some of the album's flaws. But this is nowhere near a top five Tom Petty album for me. Like this is one of the out of all the albums I've given you for this channel, this is probably kind of on the lower end of albums. Like a lot of the other albums I've given you from other bands, I enjoy more than Mojo. But I wanted to give you something this week that was just a little different. I feel like a lot of the albums I've given you recently are more kind of singer songwriter based albums, or maybe albums that are a little bit more production heavy. And I wanted to give you something that was just kind of rocked. Now, halfway through us listening to the album, I did kind of realize most of these songs are just kind of standard blues songs. And
yeah.
I know that's not your favorite thing, but I feel like compare this to some of like the Hips earlier work where it is a lot of like blues rock bars band. This just has a lot more of that classic kind of rock sound. And I don't know, I just feel like the the Heartbreakers can pull off that sound amazingly. I think they pull it off much better than the Tragically Hip. That's why I like the Hips more artistic, alternative rock stuff more than like their bar blues band rock stuff.
I mean, yeah, these guys are professional players.
Well, I think the Hip are too, but like, you know, these guys just have. I mean, there's
I guess I just mean like these guys were doing this in the 70s, and this is
Oh yeah,
this is like 40
yeah,
years in their career,
yeah. But
doing big shows and shit. But
I'm curious. I want to hear what are some of your least favorite and some of your favorite songs on this album.
okay, so my favorites, not really in order.
Yeah, just
one of them is in order, but my three favorites would be four favorites. Sorry, I should have known it. Good enough. First Flash of Freedom, and guesses on the wild card here. Any guesses?
the wild card. I want to say US 41.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's a yeah.
That's the thing. That one was interesting. It was memorable. It stands out. It was still pleasing. It wasn't like, oh, we're gonna do something weird that's just weird to be weird. It was like, okay, no, I like it. It feels kind of like I feel like Petty's vocal performance almost feels kind of mocking or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I did enjoy that one actually. And out of those like songs, like those are actually all killer songs. Like I should have known it is just a great example of a fun, modern-ish, maybe not modern now, but rock song that's bluesy, dope solos. That song has like good dynamics and like structure. Like there's kind of those breaks where it's just Petty's, calmly saying a line and they kick back in. Good enough. I mean, that is the I Want You, style song of the record. And hearing that end the record, it's like, holy fuck, this must have been for a different record. Like, there's no way this is ending the record that we just heard. Like, this is way cooler. Yeah. It's way cooler than all the other songs. Like, you have that kick-ass ending, you thought you would have just heard, like, a Zeppelin record, or something. I was like, no, we just heard a lot of rock songs in A.
I mean, I kind of see it. I kind of see it.
And then First Flash of Freedom, like, that's one,
my favorite.
Yeah, that one is cool because it is a long song, but the performance and the dynamics are like they're dialed in. That was like a live performance of a song. And then like the lead guitars are awesome in that. A lot of cool work there, the harmonies. And it did have like it did have like a catchy chorus too, Like I feel like some of these songs are kind of just like, okay, A section, B section, but that one felt like, okay, we have this chorus, it makes you feel this way. And once again, it is a simple song for the most part. I think most of it's two chords, but like the intro was super cool. Doing all those like sus chords, I was like, wow, this does not sound like anything I've heard Petty do before.
And that solo bit where the rest of the band drops out and it's just Mike playing, like that to me, out of any like solo he does on any album, it has just like the most like soul to it. Like it just has the most like feel, and I love it.
It's because it comes if I remember correctly, it like comes after like a decent length guitar solo.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's just like the awesome payoff, just like it kicks ass.
All right, I could probably guess your least favorite songs.
So the funny answer, my least favorite song is everything else on the record. But the honest answer, I'll let you guess.
I assume Running Man Bible's one of your least favorites because it's just kind of long and it does kind of just stay the same. And I feel like it has actually not as many like solo guitar work on it. I assume you're not a big fan of the two ballads, and I assume you're not like a huge fan of something like Let Yourself Go or Taking My Time.
Okay, so on a first listen, I think those things are kind of true. I think you kind of correctly had summarized that. But on repeated listens, like I think the closest I got to like enjoying the album was actually last night. As you can tell, I'm a bit sick here. So I said, fuck it. I'm gonna smoke a joint. I'm gonna listen to Petty. And I was enjoying it a little more. But what I did enjoy about it was, I guess, like a song like Running Man's Bible does not need to be 6 minutes long. So it kind of automatically drops down for being 6 minutes long. But I do kind of see how it follows First Flash of Freedom well, and how it kind of goes well before Trip to Pirates Cove. You get kind of the more straightforward song that's not as like First Flash of Freedom has like that dramatic kind of 6/8 feel. Pirates Cove's also dramatic storytelling. So to have something kind of in the middle that's more grounded, I mean, it makes sense.
And more up-tempo too.
Yeah, it's got a little more just drive. And then like No Reason to Cry. That one is probably like the cheesiest one, but it does sound different than the rest of the songs.
Yeah, you said the production sounded like way different.
It does, yeah. It does sound like a different record as well, kind of. And that one has the pedal steel, right?
Yeah.
So I have to kind of appreciate that in the album context. And then Something Good Coming, the other ballad, right?
Hmm.
That one, I will say, I did grow on me a little bit because I do kind of like the guitar part, like kind of like the arpeggiating, like the picking the chords. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's actually kind of catchy. It's kind of hooky. I kind of see the song. It is definitely like here's a ballad on a record, as most ballads on rock albums kind of sound like. That's just how it is. So within the context of the album and all the songs, those didn't really end up being my least favorite. So I guess my least favorites would probably be Lover's Touch. Like I don't need to hear Tom being horny again, especially when he's in his 60s. And then maybe High in the Morning.
Ah, that's one of my favorites.
Really, it maybe it's because we're 13 songs in out of 15, and it's not really doing anything new. Like Let Yourself Go kind of has the different, slower feel, and it has like the cool break where it like does like the little chromatic ascending thing that I wish they did more of. Um, Taking My Time. Oh my gosh, which one's Taking My Time again?
Well,
Maybe that's the one.
taking my time's kind of a slower one. Lover's Touch actually kind
I'm
of has a
sorry, that was
bounce
the
to
one
it.
that's
Yeah,
the one I meant to say.
I was
Taking My
about to
Time
say.
has the slower break.
Yeah, see that I much prefer Lovers. Or sorry, I'm screwing up the dials. I much prefer Let Yourself Go to Taking My Time.
Really?
Yeah, because I
I
don't. It has like a it has that like 70s almost like Doors feel to it.
Yeah, there definitely is a little bit of Doors kind of sound kind of trickling in here and there in some of the songs.
Taking My Time is like you read that title and then once you hear the song you're like, okay, you don't really have to take that much time. Like let's get through this song. Like it's too slow for me.
Well, hear
It's
me
like
out.
bum bum bum
It's
bum.
not even one of the longer songs on the record.
It's not though. I yeah.
And the bridge is just like the B section is so refreshing because it's like a completely different like feel and we don't get that on the rest of the record. Let Yourself Go, like I can appreciate that there's like a slightly different chord progression than the other songs. Like the two minor chords in the row is actually incredibly refreshing. So for me, like Lover's Touch and High in the Morning, I'm just like, I'm done with this record. Please let me go. Don't pull me over. Let me go. Um, Don't Pull Me Over is like, is it a fantastic song? Not really, but it's kind of fun. I've never
I
heard Petty do reggae.
I
I like
like
some of the
the
lyrics.
message. Yeah, I like the message of the song, but
When
reggae
red
is
light
not
turns to blue light. Or
it's not my
moonlight. Whatever.
favorite reggae is not my favorite style of music. It's like a novelty almost song when I like listen to it. So
Yeah, it's not the most convincing reggae.
that kind of brings me to something that I was gonna remind you days ago, and then I totally forgot. So I'm not gonna put you on the spot,
Okay.
but if you had to take out some songs, um, like is there a version of this album that you would enjoy more? I don't need you to like rearrange the album unless there's something very obvious, but like if this album could go from how many is there 15 songs to like I don't know 11 maybe for you maybe even 10 like which ones would you take out?
Okay, so I think so this hour is an hour this album is an hour and 4 minutes long. So we can do some good shaving here. I would say you could probably take out Running Man's Bible because of its length. And you could definitely put maybe like Let Yourself Go there instead. Because that's another straightforward song. That is up tempo. You know, it would get the job done. You could cut out Lover's Touch. Cut out Lover's Touch. Keep the ballads, keep the reggae. Um, like part of me, like on repeat listens, Jefferson Jericho Blues is one of the most annoying songs I've heard in a while. But for what it sets out to do, and like on a one-time listen on an opener, it's pretty damn good at that.
Because I don't really see another album opener from these songs.
Yeah, I can't knock him for doing a harmonica blues rock song that is very effective. Um, yeah, so yeah, I would take out Lover's Touch. I would take out Running Man's Bible because of its length. I could take out High in the Morning. We already have the High song with Don't Pull Me Over. Um, like it's just like that's like the thing for me. It's just like part of what makes this album like cohesive and work is like it's tough because when I'm looking at this album, I'm looking at it as in like this is just us doing like rock songs in a studio, sounding good, not putting pressure on ourselves. And when you like view it as that, especially from Legends, it's hard to be like, no, 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 you're doing the album all wrong. This is how it should have been. Like, this is the vision of the album. And it's just how long do I want to listen to it before I get bored?
I mean, I think too, if you look at the context, so this album came out in 2010 and it's their
Okay.
12th studio album.
Really?
So if, like, you're listening to a band all the way till from like the late 70s to now, and they released their 12th studio album in 2010, and it rocks this hard in a sense where like the band sounds tight. It's just maybe the songwriting isn't like your favorite. I think it's like oh, that's awesome. But I could see someone just getting into Tom Petty's music, and this is probably where Chris is extremely annoyed at us, or not us, but me, is that, you know, I haven't given you some of their other more classic albums like Into the Great Wide Open, or maybe even other fan favorites like Echo or She's the One soundtrack. So instead of getting those albums or even like Southern Accents, you're getting this. And it is like, I feel like at the time as a Petty fan, when this album came out, it was probably like, yeah, these guys still have it. But listening to this album with the mindset of like, oh, they probably have a lot of better albums. These dudes just kind of sound like they're doing like classic blues songs. I could see how it could be a little like, maybe not disappointing is the word, but you're just kind of like, technically this album's good, but like
I mean,
it's
think
not my
about like
favorite.
I'm gonna cut you off right there because like what I'm hearing right now, it's like like when someone like shows you like some like I don't know like maybe like metal band like not like heavy metal, but like some like modern rock band, whether they're like a trio or like a four piece or something, right? And they're like, oh, these guys are like starting off. Yeah, they're starting to get good. They're playing lots of gigs and they sound good. And you're like, yeah, I mean, they sound good. Look at them. They have a good look. They play their instruments well. Their songs are solid enough, but you have no interest to listen to it because it's just not interesting to you. There's not enough substance for you to chew on. And like, I'm not gonna say this record that was intended to be this type of record is filler. Like, that's just unnecessary labeling. But it's just like I'm looking over here at Hard Promises, like because that's more similar to Mojo than maybe Wildflowers or whatever, But like those songs just have kind of a lot more going on. They're a lot more interesting dynamically for the most part, and also too like with the songwriting. But if I were to compare, oh, here's this live record, record recorded live, if that's the charm of it, I could go listen to Santana, and it's so much more exciting. Or if I wanted something moodier, I could listen to something moodier. But this record is just like very basic baby's first blues rock sort of template.
I will say this. I think it all comes down to just like a preference and personal taste. Cause like
It all does.
I mean it all does, but like especially for an album that's very like thematic in the sound, not like it's a concept album, but like, yeah, this album is kind of just like, here's some blues rock songs with a lot of cool soloing, right? Um, I like Santana's music, not him as a person, but his music, and I feel like I could listen to a song or two and then be done, you know. But I can listen to this whole hour album and enjoy it. But at the same time,
Really?
I look at this album and go, "This is nowhere near the band's best songs." And again, maybe that's where I'm coming from. You besides all the huge Petty songs you've heard in the radio and stuff over the years, you've only technically gone through like three other albums, the two that we did on this channel. And then I know you've heard Damn the Torpedoes a couple times on your own. So there's still so much Tom Petty music and Heartbreakers music you haven't heard. And I do think when you get the chance to hear at least a majority of it, at least maybe all the studio albums once, you can go, oh, Mojo was kind of a cool diversion from like their sound. But it's like not the sound that they're known for. And maybe that's why I like this album, because it just feels like a cool little detour. It's not, I don't like, does that make sense? Like, I don't feel like I'm listening
Oh,
to
here's
this
this
album
cool little
over and over.
novelty thing that they did, a little one-off thing. Let me hear it once and then I'm good. Yeah,
Well,
like that,
I
right?
think as a non hardcore Petty fan, yes.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of crazy. You said you could listen to one Santana song and be good. It's like I listen to one Santana song, I want to listen to the rest of the album. Like that's how good it is sometimes, man.
But it does kind of come down to just what you and I look for in music. sometimes more complicated things gets lost in my brain. Like I don't have the comprehension to enjoy it for what it is. Um, and then I feel sometimes with you, it's like the opposite. It's kind of like, oh, there's not enough going on here, so it's harder for me to get into it. It's like it's kind of like both sides of the coin. And I feel like we listen to music where we can do the opposite. There's some music that I like that is a little bit more, complex. And I know there's music that you do. You love Elliott Smith songs, where it's just him and acoustic guitar. Um, but I thought I'd give you something that was just a little bit more. I don't want to sound like a 40-year-old dad, but like rocking. I wanted
I mean,
to give.
compared to some of the last choices, yes.
Yeah, I wanted to give you something that like you could arguably say this has great guitar playing because I know you're in a band,
Hey,
you're
we
playing a
just
lot of
heard Pop that
guitar.
had good guitar playing on it.
It did, but it's like very pop. I mean, U2's Pop is so much different than an album like this. Again,
Yeah.
another album that felt like a detour for the band. So definitely whatever album I give you next, I need to give you one that's actually just like considered a really solid album for that band or artist. No more
Yeah, that
detours.
way you can't make excuses for them when I say I'm not a fan.
And like I said, if Chris was here, he would have been like scolding me, and he would have been like, "No, obviously you need to give Tony this album next."
Hey, I will say you were right about the Pop pick. I think Pop was a good pick.
Yeah,
I will back you up in that one.
I know when you do listen to War, which is the album Chris wants you to listen to next from U2, I think it'll be very interesting to see your reaction, like because it's very different sounding than the U2 you've heard, but I don't know if it'll be a good thing for you or not. In fact, you could like it so much, you're kind of like, I actually don't like these other U2 albums you've given me.
That would be insane. That would be insane.
I think you would say that. You could say that
whoa.
for Pop and Joshua Tree. I don't think it would change your mind on Octane Baby. I think you just like that album enough now that
Yeah. Joshua Tree is definitely my least favorite of those three. So it might change how I feel about that one.
Well, I appreciate you giving this album a listen, especially since it wasn't quite your cup of tea, just like the genre of the album. But I'm glad you're able to find some songs you enjoyed and find things you could appreciate it.
Yeah, I think 5 of them are gonna make it to my massive like songs playlist.
That's not too bad. I mean,
that's pretty good. That's solid.
Wildflowers is a long album too, and well, that one I assume you probably have more songs from it on your playlist.
Yeah, I ended up liking pretty much all those songs
yeah.
by this point in time at least.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe down the road you'll just be in that mood where you're like, I just want some blues rock, and then you put on Mojo.
I mean, I will say this: I could definitely see a time where I just got to put on Good Enough.
Yeah, ripping. And that's the best part about this channel is if you could take away at least a song or two from an album that we give each other, like kind of mission accomplished, right?
Mission accomplished.
All right, well that'll do it for this episode. If you've heard this Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers album, let us know your thoughts. Do you agree with Tony? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with our friend Chris and thinking that this was dumb to give Tony this early on his Tom Petty adventure? Let us know what your favorite songs are. And Tony and I will be back next week, probably with album from you, I assume. So get ready to figure out what you're going to give me. And until then, we hope you take care and you will be hearing from us soon. Bye-bye.